Hi, Steve Harrison here with AuthorSuccess.com with another leading edge author and thought leader on how you can get more out of life. With me is Marci Fair. Marci is the author of a wonderful book called Tilt, 7 Solutions to be a Guilt-Free Working-Mom.com. I love the URL of your website, guiltfreemom.com. That's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get right to the heart of it and how I can help.
Well, I think you have a very big market. What do you find? Take us a little bit into moms with guilt. What are they feeling guilty about today?
Typically, we're trying to do everything, and we're trying to do everything very, very well at a very high level, and we just can't. We have to make choices. But because we're trying to do it all and do it perfectly, we struggle with a lot of guilt over the juggle and the struggle, and it's very heartfelt. We care about our kids, and we want them to do well. We want to be a good parent, and we want to succeed professionally.
Yeah. And so what is it that, typically women do, working women, busy women, what are they doing or what are they thinking that is actually counterproductive?
Well, when you feel like you have to be the perfect mother who is the one who always brings home-baked cookies and cupcakes to school, or you have to be the one responsible for your children's schoolwork, or you have to be the one responsible to solve the problem when your child's credit card number is stolen and take care of it, solve all their problems, along with trying to succeed professionally, your own goals and objectives, then it's just a mess. It's a recipe for disaster and overwhelm and guilt, and no one wins in that situation.
So obviously, you could say, well, just give that up. Don't realize that you don't have to be perfect. Now that's easier said than done. What do you suggest?
I suggest you choose very carefully. It becomes sitting down and really aligning yourself with your core values, being really clear on what matters the most to you, to your spouse, and to your children. And I actually recommend you sit down and talk with your kids. Sometimes we make assumptions about what we think is important to them, and we're really not on base. So a lot of times when women aren't clear, I suggest, and I have personally done it, I'll sit down and actually ask my child, well, what really matters to you? In the spring semester, I can do everything, but I can do part of the things that are most important to you. And your child's going to tell you what means the most to them. It could be a date. It could be that you go with them the first time they have to take their car in for repair so they're not figuring it out for themselves. It could be that they want to go on a hike with you. We don't always know. So the first thing I recommend is get really clear on what's important to you, what's important to your family, and focus on that. The other stuff isn't important. It's called the 80%, and let go of it.
Wow. What I love about what you're saying is I hear, things like be intentional, communicate, have a plan. And these are things probably that they're doing in their work, right? But on the home front, they forget about it. Now, you say something that I think is pretty revolutionary. You say, look, everybody's trying to have balance, have work-life balance. You say that's impossible. Tell us why.
Balance is impossible. We actually, and there's the title of my book, Tilt. It refers to the seesaw. We're never actually in balance. It's impossible to be, and yet we beat ourselves up thinking we should be. And so what I teach is that balance is impossible. Memories are better.
Wow. Balance is impossible. Memories are better. Boy, I love that. So, Marci, what I often find is that there's usually a story behind why people are doing what they're doing. And in your case, how did this become such an important topic for you?
Well, my husband and I got right out of college and started working really hard, and we were very busy and started adding children to our life, one at a time, and at the same time we were adding businesses, and so our life got very chaotic very quickly. And really, I got to this point in my life where I was so busy taking care of everyone else and everything else that I really felt I was getting completely lost in the process and wasn't really sure who I was anymore. And it really came to a head in 2004. I had an infant, a 2-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old, and growing businesses. And I hit a really hard place. There just weren't enough time, there wasn't enough hours in the day. Often I felt like I couldn't even breathe. I couldn't sleep. And there was just no time to do everything. And late one night, I was absolutely exhausted and trying to get everyone to bed. I was disappointed, I was discouraged, and I was holding back tears tucking in our youngest to bed. And in her childhood innocence, she looked up at me and she said, Mama, I'd be a dancer when I grow up. What you be when you grow up? And I was in tears because I felt that I had completely lost myself. What was I going to be when I grew up? And that was really the beginning of my Tilt project to help other working moms, because as I did so much deep soul searching and finding real answers and real solutions that have worked beautifully in our family and in my life. And they're unique and they're different. And in sharing them with the women around me, they loved them. And so I just have a passion to share what I've learned through the struggles in my own journey to help other mothers work through theirs.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you also have stories, not just of things that you've done and experienced, but you also have stories from other working moms in your book as well.
Yes, I thought it was very important to hear the voices of other women and their experiences and reflecting on their passages. And so I actually have 86 other women in Tilt, so that the reader can, hopefully they're going to hear at least a few of them that resonate with their situation and what they're trying to overcome, and hear the reflections of women whose children have grown and gone, and they're looking back on their motherhood and sharing their wisdom with us. It's beautiful.
Take us through Tilt, and obviously it's the title of your book. It's a major concept that you teach. Give us a sense of that and how that works.
Well, we are in different seasons of life, all of us as parents and working parents. And so recognizing where you're at and what's the priority right now and what can you focus on later is a really big deal. And you're exactly right when you said a few minutes ago that we think naturally that we should focus on our business life and our goals and our objectives professionally, but we're not transferring that knowledge and understanding to our parenthood. And so I like to explain to parents how we can, maybe when the kids are young, there's certain things we focus on that we let go of later. And when they're older, there's other things we let go of because they should know how to do them now. And we're going to focus on different things. And so it's the tilting back and forth. It also refers to sometimes we're going to have to give more focus to work. Maybe we're in the middle of a huge project and a big deadline. And so what I teach is when we have to tilt a little bit back and forth between our family and our children, is if we've filled our children's buckets along the way, when we have to tilt professionally more, then we have that leeway to do that with the children. So we tilt in a lot of different ways, and I teach people specifically how to do that.
Wow. Well, I think that's what's wonderful about your book, and it's just so beautifully done. Tilt: 7 Solutions to a Guilt-Free Working Mom. This is a great gift if you have a friend, a daughter, a granddaughter, a niece. This is something for you if you are just super busy, whether you consider yourself a working mom or just a really super busy mom on the home front. And what I love about your message is, first of all, you've been there. You're a mom of how many kids do you have now?
We have 4 children aged 10 to 21.
Wow. And I mean, so you get it. And I think what's wonderful about your book is you have so many practical tips, and yet you're really giving this great balance, as we're talking about tilt, you know, of just practical suggestions and a lot of grace and a lot of encouragement to really go for this new vision of how to be a mom and how to communicate with your kids and not buy into this impossible definition of the perfect mom. So great job on the book.
Thank you. Thank you. There's also a lot of humor in parenthood. So I have over 70 of our children's quotes woven throughout it. I call them my memoirs, and I encourage other parents to write them down too, because they're little treasures we get from our children over the years. But the parenting itself is very funny, and a lot of times if we'll just embrace the humor and realize that's a reality of what we're going through, then it helps ease the journey.
You're really right about that. It's a warm, fun, uplifting book, as well as dealing with a serious topic in a fun way. So great job, Marci. Go to guiltfreemom.com. Find out about how you can buy the book. Great gift, but also find out about how you can book Marci for speaking. She speaks at businesses and companies, churches, women's conferences. You'll really get a tremendous amount out of this message, Tilt. So thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Steve. I appreciate your time.